Pre-season ends promising so much more, even though another player goes out the door. The boss shows he's not just a pretty face when he demands more in the upcoming title race. The two goods, the two bads, and the ugly at Liverpool FC for the pre-season weekly update number 11, brought to you by the LFC file. Roll the intro, Lucho. Welcome back, one and all, for the latest episode of the Good, the Bad and the Ugly at Liverpool FC podcast, brought to you by the LFC file, the weekly update number 11, which is the last one before we begin the season proper, and hence this coming out on late Monday or Tuesday, depending on when I pull my editing finger out, for want of a better expression. So thanks for coming by. There's a lot to cover this week. Actually, it's going to be a bit longer than usual, but please do bear with us and stick till the end. And if you like the content, remember to like. Please do subscribe also and press the notification bell so you know when the next episode is going to be available. So, without further ado, let's get into it with the first good. And the first good, as you can see from the Express here, we've got Joe Krishnan, who's reporting Liverpool player ratings versus Sevilla. And as you well likely know, Liverpool ran out comfortable 4-1 winners against Sevilla in their first pre-season game of two. Sorry, not first pre-season game, but first of two friendly games that took place yesterday at Anfield. One of them was in front of a 60,000 plus crowd, Arne Slot's first since taking over as head coach, and the second was a kind of behind closed doors affair, both of which were shown on LFC TV Go. So yeah, the headline, Liverpool player ratings versus Sevilla Red Star gets perfect 10 as Arne Slot's men run riot. And the player with 10 out of 10 was Lucho Diaz, who scored 2 goals in the game. And before that, there was an absolute screamer from Diogo Jota to open the scoring. Peque Fernández pulled one back for Sevilla, but youngster Trey Nyoni, of all people, scored his first goal in front of the Kop as well. Hopefully the first of very many from this very promising youngster, as the regulars know I am a huge fan of. So yes, very good and solid performance. I would suspect that this was probably the best 11, let's say, or the best squad for the moment, because we come on to the second good, and that also is the Express. Why not kill two birds with two stones? Anyway, Liverpool player ratings versus Las Palmas as Star up for sale gets 8 out of 10 in draw. And you can see Charlie Mallam there. Liverpool played Las Palmas in a friendly at Anfield behind closed doors, just hours after beating Sevilla 4-1. This Star up for sale that he refers to is actually Ben Doak, who had a storming game. However, he's not up for sale. I know Liverpool are open to agreeing a loan for the player because he was injured most of last season. And of course, as I reported last time, an extended run of, let's say first team football would do him a lot of good. But up for sale in the permanent sense, I think is, as far as I'm aware, it's not that I'm super connected, but by all accounts, Liverpool and Arne Slot think very highly of Mr. Doak, and I think he's going to be staying put in terms of at least the team that he's contracted to in the foreseeable future. And that brings us on to the two bads. Well, actually, they're not bads, let's be fair. I guess this came as a surprise, the first one. I've got the Guardian here with their headline, Brentford agree to sign Liverpool attacker Fabio Carvalho in £27.5 million deal, as reported by John Bruin. So yeah, that seems to come as a surprise. Although personally, I'm not surprised. I think young Fabio has not really done himself many favours. He appeared, or he was reported to have fallen out with Jurgen Klopp when he was manager, and hence sent out on loan. I think it was to Leipzig, wasn't it? RB Leipzig, and then nothing happened there. And then he came back and he went to Huddersfield, where he actually done very well last season. But I think that the problem seems to be that he's quite outspoken, and if he was out of favour with Klopp, and now Arne Slot doesn't seem too impressed with him, then I think it's fair to say that he's probably talked himself out of the club. This is what I see anyway. I think his attitude, he seems, is a bit problematic. The last thing he said was, Arne Slot has asked me to play in X position, but I prefer to play as Y, but I'll do what I can for the team. It's like you play where you're asked to play. I think all players have got a preferred position, but at the end of the day, when the boss asks you to play in a certain role, then you play in a certain role, end of. And I think these things haven't done him any good, to be honest. And I think Liverpool in recent years has not been a club that tolerates this kind of thing, to be perfectly honest. So, he's gone, bless him. Unfortunately, a lot of promise. He's a good player, but I think he just doesn't do himself any favours. And the second, not bad, we've got the Echo here. And Jake Stokes reports the headline: Liverpool given major Martin Zubimendi transfer boost as Dominic Solanke to Tottenham confirmed. And this is simply that when Liverpool sold Dominic Solanke to Bournemouth, I think it was, can't remember, 2019 or something, there was a 20% sell-on clause. And then now, I think it was 20% of any profits, excuse me. And this reported 65 million quid means that Liverpool may well end up with around between 9 and 10 million, if reports are to be believed. But in any case, they're going to receive a sizable chunk. So I think that's good news. He's a good player, Dominic Solanke. I think he was just a bit too early at Liverpool, unfortunately, and it was good that I think it would have been Martin Edwards at the time who would have negotiated the sale, inserted the sell-on clause, which is quite common these days, and hence Liverpool are reaping the benefit. So that's good, and I would suspect that that money would probably go to Zubimendi. I didn't realise actually that was his name. He's a player that came on for Rodri in the Euros final. So yeah, I didn't know his name actually, but yes, he's a very decent player, actually more than decent player, very good player. So if Liverpool can get that over the line, now they have a reportedly extra 40 million quid or thereabouts in the coffers, then I think they should be able to afford him. I think he has a buyout clause of about 60 million, but without too much stress on the old coffers, so to speak. Let's see what happens, but that's an interesting development which should help Liverpool no end. Let's see. And where are we now? Yes, that brings us swiftly on to the ugly. And it's not really an ugly, actually. It's far from it, but I think it's the report here in the Mirror. As you can see, Arne Slot fires standards, warning to Liverpool players ahead of first match at Anfield, as reported by Jacob Leaks. And this is where Arne Slot mentions that the players need to improve. The report goes on: Liverpool won all 3 games during their tour of the US to kick off Arne Slot's reign in a positive manner, though the Dutchman has demanded his side raise their performance levels. And I think this is only fair to say because, it's pre-season. He needs to motivate the players. I think some maybe not as fit as he might have expected, although not, somewhat fitter than my good self, I'm fairly sure. But he just expects certain things to improve. And I mean, yesterday you can see the goal that Liverpool conceded wasn't the best way to concede any goal, but that was a bit slack. But yeah, it's understandable. Arne Slot has warned his Liverpool side they must improve, insisting his standards are not yet being met. Slot has replaced Jurgen Klopp at the helm of the Reds and is hoping for a successful first season in charge, having enjoyed a mostly positive pre-season. And can't say he's out of order in saying that. I think the team do need to improve. We saw last season, which is pretty much the same squad he's got now. Let's face it, they haven't bought anyone yet. You know, we were a little bit wanting in certain areas, particularly maybe midfield, this defensive midfield area, and maybe the defence as well could have been a little bit tighter at times. And this is clearly an area where he believes that we can improve. But from what I saw against Sevilla yesterday, and in the recent games as well against Arsenal, Man United, I think they struggled a little bit. The scoreline flattered them. But from what I've seen of Liverpool play, it's actually, Harvey Elliott said elegant. I understand where he's coming from there. There's a lot of, you can see there's a lot of 1-2 touch football, a lot of 1-2s, give and goes, etc. You can see that they're trying to sort of move the ball very quickly. I noticed then they're not deploying this long diagonal ball so often as Klopp used to do quite a lot, or Liverpool, a bit more direct. But I think this Liverpool team, they're keeping possession a little more, and then they're trying to sort of break with 2 or 3 very quick passes. And it looks pretty good. So I'm quite positive for the season ahead. So let's see. Buck your ideas up, players. So, and before we wrap up, and in keeping with the way I intend to go ahead this season, is of course the fantasy football review. Now, of course, nothing's been played as yet, but the team I am going into the season with, you can see here. So I've got Ederson in goal. Chelsea haven't played too well from what I've seen and heard in pre-season. Of course, Trent is in there, Gabriel, Gui as well, from Palace, a decent player, of course. Bailey, Gross, he's got an exclamation mark there. I'll have to check that before the deadline closes. Palmer, of course, Salah. I haven't gone with Erling Haaland, actually, and I gather a lot of people haven't. I think Man City against Chelsea. I don't know. I mean, you fancy him to score, but I think Watkins against West Ham is probably a better. Yeah, I'd maybe fancy Watkins to score against West Ham, probably a bit more than Haaland against City, but I can be proved wrong. And Richarlison, good player. I've got him up front as well because he scored pretty well last season. So there you go. As subs, I've got Fabianski, Stevens from Brentford, I believe, Joel Linton and Welbeck. I think Joel Linton, I might regret leaving him on the bench, actually. I might have him in place of Gross and get someone else in. Let's see. But that's my proposed starting 11 for the opening game of the season next week, and Liverpool will travel down to what's it called, Portman Road, I think, isn't it? Ipswich's ground, unless it's been taken over by a sponsor by now. And it's going to be the 12:30 kickoff that we all know, the scourge of Mr. Jurgen Norbert Klopp. Arne Slot doesn't seem too bothered. Let's see. Hopefully we can start off with 3 points. Let's see. But from what I hear of Ipswich, they're not going to be a pushover. So, bin gespannt, as they say auf Deutsch. So yes, very interested to see how that's going to happen, how that's going to turn out. So that's it from me. Just a quick mention, as usual, the LFC file season review for 23-24 is out in Amazon. There you go, priced, I think it's £8.95. I've reduced the price and £5 for the ebook. So please do have a purchase and help the channel out. And away from that, I can only bid you all a good week ahead. Take care of yourselves and one another, as always. Until the next one, guys and gals. Peace. ULFC.